So, hello and welcome. My name is Steve Pugh. This is Peter. He's on the other side, so this is Peter. What we've done in the past few years, that we all do our own kind of podcasty stuff and YouTubey stuff, and we've known each other for quite a long time. And we first met. We set up our businesses at the same time, which was two years ago now. And we met for coffee in next to the Middlesbrough Stadium. Yeah. Anyway, and then what we thought would be quite cool to do is when you've got 200 players that set up in the businesses at the same time, a year later, which was a year ago, we actually had a chat very similar to this where we talked about how did the year go as we expected, how did it go, what went wrong, what was different, etc. And almost just as two friends who were going through the same journey at the same time, doing very similar kind of stuff. And what we thought was actually at the end of year two, we kind of do it again, if that's cool. So this isn't an interview. We do have a bit of a structure, but actually it's more a genuine kind of warts and all discussion about stuff that we've been through this year, that kind of thing. And then hopefully find it interesting. My name's Steve. I do consultancy business. I have a Roadmap MBA business course, which I also do. Peter, do you want to kind of introduce yourself?
I run Diablo Seasonings, which is a spices and seasonings company based in the northeast of England. So basically, we're a commercial ingredients company, but we have a food blog across social media. We get different spices from abroad. We travel to these places, or we could before travel restrictions came in, but now things are improving a little bit. So happy days, and that's us.
And hi to Matthew Ward as well. Matt, just so you know, and we're trying something very different today. Never been done before. I actually don't think it actually probably has been done before. So I stream every week on stuff on my own channels, but we're also trying to stream on Peter's channels at the same time. And so I actually have different screens for different comments if they come in. And Matt Orr basically said, "Afternoon, guys." Hi, Matt, as always. I need to get you back on the podcast at some point. So yes, the whole point of this is almost to, I hope, or I believe it's useful to people either in their own business or career to really just get feedback, because one of the big things that I often see is all to do with everything people always put on Instagram and stuff is always like this perfect idea about how mega successful and you're doing whatever. And that isn't always the case. And then two different people that have different businesses almost just discussing like warts and all things that happened or didn't happen or whatever. Hopefully it's quite, people hopefully find value in that. So Peter, first question. Have you watched the new Tiger King yet? I know it's just been released on Netflix.
I haven't, mate. I'm trying to be honest, my kids are at an age now where they rule the TV, so there's no point in even changing it, or it just causes carnage. So I'm banished to the kitchen on the laptop these days, mate.
Because so the first time I actually interviewed on the podcast was the first time we'd spoke a while back, and then we decided to do this like 6 months later. And it seems that whenever we arrange to do this, Netflix release a Tiger King special or a new series. So I think it's kind of perfect timing, but it was just kind of cool. And then the other thing as well, which might be interesting, is that I am now a user of your product. So this is I just picked one out the cupboard. This is the Madras curry sauce. But actually what's quite funny is just it's actually one of the questions later, but actually as a user of your product kind of now, I see it in a different way because I don't cook, but my wife does. She's the talented kind of one. But actually, it's really, I love seeing my friends do well, but actually seeing people actually, execute and do stuff, which is quite cool. So since we spoke last year, and it literally was a year ago, kind of this week, how have things been for you?
It's been a roller coaster. It's been an interesting journey. Like there's a few things to get used to, like starting your own business. I'm glad I did it. It has been the best decision I've made, but at the same time, like the cons have been the hardest things I've had to deal with as well. Just things like having a sporadic income takes some getting used to. Like you might smash it for a couple of months, and then you think, right, I've killed it now, and then you'll have a couple of months where it's quiet, and you're like, oh man, and it's just like an emotional roller coaster.
It's interesting you say that because actually in preparation for this, I rewatched our interview last year.
Oh yeah,
it was going to be my question 11, but I'll ask you now. It's almost that: are you paying yourself properly yet? Because answer.
Yeah, like the bills are paid and there's a little bit left over to do some travel and to reinvest. Like I think that's been the biggest improvement since we last spoke. Like the difference in equipment and the difference in like the inventory that I have. It's just made life a bit easier, and like some of the clients' orders have just been steadily growing every month. And like if I go back a year or so, we wouldn't have been able to deal with those kind of orders with the equipment that we had. So that's been definitely a big step in the right direction.
I think one thing which might help people just who might not have discovered you kind of before. Do you want to give a quick overview about what is the business? Does that make sense? Because obviously you now sell into B2B and B2C, so you sell into actual resellers. Is that right? I also think we've got connection issues. I knew something would go wrong. Peter's frozen on my screen, but I'm hoping, there he goes, come back. We're just going to wing it. It's the internet. It is what it is. That's cool. So almost, would you be happy to almost give people just a bit of an overview about what the business is, but almost like that you sell to direct to consumers, you do market stalls, you do.
Yeah, like I've tried not to restrict ourselves. Like I've tried not to be rigid in our approach. So we have the website, which is normally like individuals who like to cook. So they follow our blog. They might watch some recipe videos that we've put out on TikTok or on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever. And they'll go on the site, they'll fill the basket full of different spices and then order, and we'll fulfill it. And then you've got that in one box, but then you've got the restaurants in and around Teesside. There's quite a booming food scene, man. Like there's so many different cultures in one town, and we get quite a few orders from different restaurants and a few food producers themselves, like small producers. But it's kind of like, it's a strange one. So we get a few orders from abroad, which always blows my mind a little bit. Like if somebody from Sweden's been on the website and bought something, it still blows my mind. Like I've watched the internet come from MSN Messenger up to what it is now because I'm of that age. So it's just a bit mad the way like the business is. I didn't know that was going to happen when I first started. I wasn't sure, it's my first couple of years in business. So it's definitely been a strange one. And then we do farmers markets and we do a few different markets and stuff. So and they're great, like meeting different people who've bought things online. I can see them in the flesh and they're like, oh, it's John. And I'm like, oh, now then, you always buy interesting stuff. And it's just nice to be able to meet like people from different areas. And I always spot an accent. So it's like, where are you from? I met someone from Cuba in Redcar, which is proper random in it. So it's just great to like try all these different things, and they're all okay incomes like each, and that kind of just helps the business to diversify.
I realised before we came on air, this has got an absolute shocker. We had camera problems with my focus and we're going to try and walk backwards until it catches me, but I'm not a good looking chap anyway, so it's cool. But it's like, anyway, but the part of the thing is when we talk about how for business related stuff doesn't always go to plan. You know, I've done now, you've been 3 of them, but I've done like 65 interviews. And it's always, occasionally, just stuff goes wrong, like you're focused on your posh camera, but it is what it is. I'm going to have to Google a way to like magically get it to kind of, if you can click your fingers or something, just that's focus on you. Anyway, so out of interest, when we spoke last year, so that was the end of our first kind of full year. One of the questions that we kind of asked was, did the year go as expected? And it's almost for you, and for both of us it didn't, where actually what we found was that our first 6 months were different to our second 6 months. We're very, very start. You're kind of just trying to survive and get through. And hopefully at a certain point you kind of find your feet a bit more, etc. And I just didn't know if your second year had been different again, or how things had changed.
I think if the question is, did the second year go to plan, I'd have to say absolutely not. It's just been, like I say, a bit of a roller coaster. Like, one of the main reasons I started business was to be able to travel abroad and go to these different places and connect with these different cultures. And I had so many trips cancelled. So like we were meant to go to Lebanon, to go to Beirut, which is a city I've always fancied. I know it sounds mental, but I've always fancied it. And
hopefully it's going to follow me back. I've got friends from Lebanon. I really want to go. Obviously they had the big explosion.
It looks awesome. It looks like it used to be called the Paris of the Middle East, but that got cancelled because of the thing that happened in the port. So there was also another few trips like India and Nepal. We had booked. I was going to go out there, make a vlog, storyboarded it. I had all the contact. The full trip was planned, and then that died a bit of a death, that trip. Colombia was another one. So I kind of gave up on a mental trip for a while, and then I booked Jordan, but Jordan fell apart because of my own incompetence, to be completely transparent. Me and my friend went out when the pubs opened back up. I hadn't been out for a while. I was out of practice, and I booked a trek around Jordan, sleeping in the desert, all that kind of stuff. And it was all ready to go. We meant to go like a month ago, and my friend rang me the day before we went. because we'd had a few drinks when we booked it, and he said, "Peter, you've wrote my name wrong on the e-ticket." So I'm like, "Oh no, we'd had a skinful when I booked it." So when I tried to change the name,
please come back. This is for anyone that's watching, I can see the same thing you can see where Peter's frozen, but he's a nice guy. I know he's going to come back. It is what it is. There we
go. Yeah, so just basically that trip fell apart because I wrote my friend's name wrong. Don't book trips when you've had a few drinks. It's a bad move.
Because I almost, it's just, I'm trying to think for me almost at the, like, so when in my first year in business, almost at the, I'd kind of, are you on your phone, by the way? Just out of interest? I think you are.
I'm on my phone.
Yeah, cool. No, which one? Yeah, because my first year was almost at the, a lot of it was finding your feet. Then you started to kind of generate cash and do a bit well. But I don't know about you, but I just didn't stop through COVID. And one thing that was also quite cute as well, which was to do with how it's when you watch, that's part of the reason I want to do this, and hopefully we'll do it again next year. It's when you look back at stuff, and I'd literally just moved to my office, or my old office upstairs. And one of the things that I said to you was actually that for that, I'd just moved from a spare bedroom at home to there, and it was a big step up. But I had a dream to try and get my own place and get my own space to try and go the next. And it's quite nice actually when you look back to think, actually, I did that a while back. And then I've since evolved that twice, I think, with my stupid stuff and my camera.
You've got to enjoy the struggle, haven't you? Like, literally, I embrace the struggle. Like, when I do a farmer's market or just a normal market, I'm aiming for 100 rejections a day. Like, when I say rejections, I mean a good morning and someone will blank me and I think there's one. Good morning, they blank me, there's two. Good morning, he blanks me, free, whatever, you know what I mean? And like, I know that if I get 100 people blank me, because we're in the Northeast, there'll be 500 people who'll say, "Oh, morning, mate, you're all right." And that can lead to sales and conversation and connection.
I think it's classic, because I actually use that as a lot of, did you know, you won't know because they haven't arrived yet and I haven't sent them out, but you get a reference in the new roadmap textbook and 2 different levels.
Thank you.
One of them is actually to do with, it's going for those rejections. Yeah. So say if you work, I know you used to work in B2B sales, but it's almost, if you can get 20 rejections a day, it's brilliant. Almost aim for it, because, it's part of the sales lead actions to kind of graph through. Yeah. But then likewise, I talk about how, I'm trying to think what section it is. It's in section 8, actually, to do with the 6 universal principles of social influence, and about how if you're trying to sell a product, aim it towards the person who that person wants to be, who the customer wants to be. So for you, and the example we use in the book, is that if someone sees themselves as being adventurous in the kitchen and willing to try new things and that kind of thing, they're a perfect example to buy your product. Because actually, I'm a crap cook, I know that, but my wife isn't. But it's almost where, my point is, you get a name check and a reference and stuff, and it's just fascinating. But no, I really kind of appreciate the sales technique and actually aiming for rejections, which is just really kind of interesting, which is cool.
I find it quite amusing when people most people are all right, aren't there? And then you get the odd person where just a good morning, all you have to do is say good morning, isn't it? It's not hard. But I just think, like, I find it quite amusing when people can be borderline rude at times. It doesn't bother me. It's life, isn't it? Like, some people in the public are all right, some aren't, and that's across every country as well. Not every country I've been, people are the same, man. Most people are all right.
Has your mindset changed over the year?
I think it has. It's a good question, that, because when I first started, I was going hell for leather. I was waking up and I was like, spices. And then I was going to sleep and I was like, what content can I post tomorrow? And it was basically every second of every day was spent on that. But after about the first year and a half, I was thinking, I'm feeling a bit burned out mentally, So I just started focusing on a couple of other things, just sectioning some time off. I think my babies are at an age where they need me a bit more. So focusing on the family, and also because of the commercial orders that come in now, it kind of freed up a day or two in the week. So I joined an access course at Middlesbrough College. So I'm going there and learning how to do the stuff that you're doing, like filmmaking and camera technique.
I just make it up.
I was winging it for ages, but when I'm winging it, I swear too much on camera and stuff. So I need some official vocational techniques. So I've gone to college to learn that. So because I got like new equipment and I didn't even know how to use it, Steve. So I thought it's time to educate myself on how to get the most out of this equipment,
I think just because what I'm going to try and do is what we did last time. So I'll answer the same, even though I wrote the question, just kind of answer it as well. I think for me, it's a funny one that I was the same. So in my first year, it was all about do everything I can to make friends, smile at people, try and business, just try and survive.
Yeah.
Because we're actually now get to the point where I'm really busy. Arguably, and I know this, I'm too busy that I split my time between, so on paper, 4 days out of my 5 every week, I get paid by someone else to do other people's stuff. In practice, it definitely takes, you're frozen again, but it is what it is. In practice, it definitely takes more than that. But actually, what it's done is allow me to earn money to then use for different stuff to help kind of grow the business and reinvest back into stuff. There we go, you're back. I tell you what, just no matter what happens, just keep smiling and fingers crossed it'll...
And I'll just be stuck on the screen like this.
Yeah, but this happened to me as well. I was interviewing someone and my camera froze, and it turns, I won't even bore you with the detail of what happened, but it was just, but it's part of the learning curve. And it's, so one of the things that we talk about, or when we've talked about in the past, it's getting your reps in. It's almost where every time you stream, you learn something new. So for instance, now that we're broadcasting to hopefully, I'll check my stuff and your stuff. I have different computers running different things. I tried it on Friday when I was doing my live Q&A for the Romap stuff. Yeah. And what I essentially did was capture my original stream and the audio and then rebroadcast it. But I'd accidentally left another YouTube tab open. So the sound was terrible because it was mine, plus fuck knows what, I don't know, whatever, it was just playing. And it was just, I felt sick afterwards. But luckily on the company account that it was pushing it through, nobody really saw it. So I just deleted it and learned from it.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing of just,
trial and error, man.
Trial and error. And I think sometimes people try and be too perfect about what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
But almost in a mindset point of view, back to the kind of question, I'm now a lot more brutal in some ways about how I focus my time because I only have a certain amount of time to focus.
Yeah.
But I put more time where the focus should be. Does that make sense? And although it sounds really stupid, like I love networking, but I think, I'm not going to say I was going to too much stuff because obviously it worked and I got the clients and did whatever. But I think there's a balance between getting paid to do stuff and getting the money in versus trying to be everywhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you can spread yourself too thin, man, when you're trying to do everything all at once, all the time. You need to focus on other things as well. You know what I mean? Like, I made a point to get a couple of trips booked that would go ahead, so nowhere too risky. I went over to Budapest and it was brilliant, man. Like, I knew I was going to like it because I've obviously read a lot about it and stuff. But I got a chance to get out to the spice market there, and their paprika is widely regarded as some of the best in the world. So I just kind of done the rounds, everyone spoke English. Now, I wasn't expecting this. I mean, I normally try my best with the languages, but Budapest, I cannot get my brain around Hungarian. It's so tricky. It's like, but a bit like Russian. It's like, it's way more difficult than Arabic, definitely. But yeah, I forged some good links out there, and the people were really nice. And the paprika that I brought back, within one farmer's market, the full trip was paid for by the paprika that we sold.
That's nice. That's really good.
Mad, isn't it?
Next question. And basically, but I really love this. And likewise, when I edit this up, or David, I now have someone to help me edit all the videos because I'm busy. A guy called David Winters does a brilliant job, and it's great. But it's whether me or him or whichever. But it's almost what we try and do. And we'll talk about social media. Actually, I'm going to jump to the social media question. And you mentioned TikTok before, and I'll answer just whilst you take a drink. I was going to say, how has your business promotion changed over the year? Like you mentioned TikTok, I've never even approached that yet, but I do. Well, my streaming, I'm now a lot more. I do a lot more. I do kind of multiple times a week. I send it to Twitch, LinkedIn, multiple Twitters, Facebook, YouTube, and then repurpose a lot of the content as a podcast.
Yeah, chop it, change it, put little clips out and stuff. I've seen what you do. It's great stuff, man. I need to do more of that. Like, I always did post on them all. I've been posting on TikTok since it had a different name, you know what I mean, years ago. So I remember speaking to people about it when Garyvee started talking about it a lot, about 2 or 3 years ago.
Because that was my next question. I was going to ask you, do you still watch the Garyvee stuff?
I honestly don't.
I don't either.
And the reason being, I know what he's going to say anyway.
Yeah.
And because it just like, I think maybe I might watch 1 a month compared to 10 a day. You know what I mean? Like, if I see it, I don't seek it out anymore because a lot of the things he says he's repeating himself, so it's imprinted in my brain now. And
but isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
And it's just because what was also, when we had lockdown and stuff, and actually the other thing that you won't be able to see on camera because I kind of trim it from the waist down, but I'd actually put on weight and then lost it again since we last spoke with lockdown. But no, so I used to watch a lot of Garyvee in the gym on the bike or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I was doing it almost for that kind of hustle inspiration type thing.
Yeah.
Because where the truth is, I don't feel I need it. And it's just, that's why I was interested in the question, because we used to both watch it quite a lot. And I was just interested to see if you still did or not. But
I feel like I don't need to. One of the ways that we've changed in terms of promotion is we've got a lot more visual stuff, and I mean physical items, like when we're at the markets and stuff. So just little things like banners and tablecloths and just like pull-up stands, all Roma banners and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so that when people are at the farmer's market now, I used to literally rock up with 2 big bags of spices and some chalkboards, and now it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say it's more sophisticated, but there's a few more trips to the car before I'm fully set up,
Because do you take pride in what you do? Because it's one of the things that...
I think you've got to, I think sometimes I don't give myself the credit for it, but if I take a step back, I think, you've invented an income. Anybody who's started a business and kept it going for a couple of years, you've invented an income, haven't you? Which isn't an easy thing to do, especially
Oh, I tell you what, at least I'm glad when this does go wrong, it is with Peter, because he's got the bands to be able to pull it off. But anyway, come on, Peter, you gonna come back? There we go.
So where was I there?
You're talking about taking pride in the business and a few more trips to the car and
definitely,
creating your own income.
I think, if you've invented an income, you should be proud of yourself, shouldn't you? Because it's not an easy thing to do, especially with the way the economy is. I've never ran a business in a good economy. So I always just think in the next few years, it's just if you keep on working hard, it'll just get better and better for everyone who's got their own business.
I was in the Metro Centre yesterday and I bought some Christmas cards off a local. Again, last time you talk about buying local, buying independent, whatever. Anyone that's willing to put themselves out there, even if it's a side hustle where you earn, nothing, 10 quid a month, whatever. It does take balls to do it. It's a lot of effort. But then likewise, I think I try and take pride in what I do, and almost I care a lot about what I do. And I just think it's a really interesting kind of just thinking about how people's businesses change. How has your business changed in the past 12 months?
How's it changed? I think we've been a lot more commercially focused. I still do the farmers markets and stuff every week, but the vast majority of my time now is spent packing spices together for restaurants and stuff like that. So the commercial side's got a bit bigger than the if I compare the online sales to the commercial going back a year or a year and a half, it was 90% to 10%. Now I would say it's about 75% commercial, 25% selling to customers.
Yeah, I think it's ace. Because last year, what was also quite funny is that at the time, and this is it's only when you watch it back, that with with the roadmap, I only started to actually send it to people, the physical printed copy, in February, and we did this last November, so that was still a few months away. But I was saying at the time about how the change in you always have, and people that have a physical product business where you actually have to buy stock and inventory and do stuff with it and then send it out again, is so much more difficult than a service business where you don't. And I think that's true, but almost in the past year, my business has changed a lot, where I've gone from, and don't get me wrong, 90% of my income still comes from the consultancy, if not more.
Yeah.
But actually the buying in stock, finding suppliers, getting better suppliers, getting cheaper suppliers, looking at your logistics, how can you pack quicker, how can you do things better, how can you reduce plastics. I'm really just trying to improve. But for me, my whole business has fundamentally changed in a way that, yes, I still do mostly consult stuff, but actually just packing boxes. And tomorrow I'm meant to get 100 boxes, which will just fill this room. I've ordered 1,000 courses, which is the next copy of it. Yeah. But it's almost the baby steps, but it's just interesting to see how people's, and it's really good to see as well that the B2C angle has grown, because again, that can be hopefully your recurring revenue every month.
Exactly.
as well as the consumer
Like that's the
stuff.
bills paid, that's the bills, and then the farmers markets and stuff. That's the extra stuff for me to reinvest or maybe doing like a little bit of travel. But one of the things I did, there's a lady in New York who I met through the Garyvee page on Facebook. Actually, she's got a spices company in Queens. She's dead canny. Queen's Curry Kitchen. If you want to give her an ad on Instagram or Facebook, she's really nice. And me and her co-wrote a book together, so we would chat. It was just an ebook, but I've sold quite a few copies of it through the website. So it's just like it was only a $5. It was I put my own recipes. There was a tandoori flavored parmo in there, obviously, and I was just thinking. She told me how many people bought it off there. It was quite a few. And I'm thinking, man, there's people in New York making parmos there because I wrote that recipe in that book, and that just like blew my mind a bit, to be honest.
A taste. Just would you ever thought when we first set up and we had that coffee and both super keen and it was like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like it is quite cool to think that people around the world have seen your stuff. You know what I mean?
It is, man. It's pretty mental. Like that's what it's about for me, going around the world. Like, last week I went to Dublin, and I was there's a company called the Spice City. So I was there just as a tourist anyway. So I was having a little wander about, and their Spice Emporium was great. So I was just getting ideas from what they do and stuff like that. But then I left Dublin because it was a bit expensive. I thought it was a bit overpriced. It was all right. But then I went up to Belfast and I loved it. I met a guy from Bangladesh. Kamal, if you're watching it, you're a good lad, mate. And me and Kamal went to the Peace Warm in Belfast and we looked at all the graffiti and stuff. So and he was just like, it was mad. I took him to Greg's and he'd never heard of a chicken bake. And he's like, chicken bake? What's that? I was like, you need one of these, mate. Banging. And he's, now I have a contact in Bangladesh. I can go to Dakar anytime I want. He's a really nice fella. And it's just like mad to be able to know that if I want to, for the people that I've met traveling just by being curious about the world, I can go to see friends in Colombia or in Bangladesh or in India or in South Africa, America. It's just mental that the network that you can create now, it's an opportunity we didn't have 20 years ago, isn't it?
I think my camera just doesn't like me. I'm better out of focus anyway, so I'm just going to keep going. But fuck it, it is what it is. I'm just going to read some of your comments that have come in. One from Joe up the borough, David here from First in Line, and we've got Peter, DM me after this on Facebook. Maybe I'm taking a large theatre bar in Birmingham, so pass on your details to the chef. That's from I Cave Dave on YouTube. Raj Khan, Peter Mckeone, top guy, hard working and dedicated. And then J-Man, just some laughing faces as well, which was probably...
I was expecting more abuse, Steve. Like, my friend is quite abusive, so I was expecting more abuse. They're going to do it now. I've said that, haven't I? Shouldn't have said that.
Well, at least you're not out of focus, but that's the... I fuck knows what's happening. Anyway,
I'll tell you who I met in Dublin, Steve. When I was coming back in the airport, I met Michael Owen.
As in the former footballer?
As in Michael Owen, yeah. I was talking to him for a bit. He was all right, There you go. You're in focus now, mate.
Yeah, I'm not someone you want to see close up, I'll tell you that. And there must be a way that like you can clap or something to get it to focus.
Yeah.
But so basically we've gone through the first two, which how's last year been? Has your business changed? Has how you promote the business changed? It's an interesting one.
I think I've done less content, and that's just because my kids are getting a little bit older. So it's like, and because the commercial's grown, I haven't had as many hours a day to put more content out. So my reach has gone down a little bit. So I need to try and think a little bit smarter about that and look a bit closer at the habits, the viewing habits of my followers and stuff like that. So I need to get a bit more technical with that side of things and start to schedule my posts. So I know what I need to do. It's just a case of doing it,
Because one of the things that literally just crossed my mind then is that because you have everyone's postal address when you've sent out stuff to them, almost just send out a little Christmas card that says, if you need anything this year, it's like a thank you. But it's that kind of, I'm still here, use me, whatever. Maybe with a Black Friday deal or something on. For me, I guess I still do. I now stream and stuff a lot more, and my quality's hopefully gone up. Like even just, I'm out of focus again. Fucking hell. I give up. I actually just give up. But what I was going to say is that now when I do the Roadmap Business Packs stuff and I kind of send them out to people, it's basically it's mail promotion, if that makes sense. So you're not it's the physical.
Going back to the old school, it works though.
I think it does. Unlike this camera, But it is, God knows what's going on.
I wanted to ask you actually, Steve. You know, like with the YouTube stuff, so I do put videos on YouTube, but it's really sporadic. Like I need to be a bit more structured in my approach with it.
No.
What advice would you get? There you go. What advice would you give for kind of like how consistent should you be in uploading videos if you're trying to grow your YouTube channel? And how have you got all those followers? Because I've watched your followers just doing that recently, and it's great to see.
But I'm on to like my 700th video.
There's the answer.
Yeah. And it's that kind of thing of where because I only launched the new rebrand last week before. And actually, because one of the things that I think I knew I did wrong, but it was so much effort that I hadn't been doing, it was about my thumbnails. Because I don't know about you, but I watch quite a lot of stuff on YouTube. It's like my go-to, just got time to kill, whatever. And what I was doing was that it can automatically generate just a screen grab of what the video is.
Yeah.
But if you're scrolling through, like, it kind of works. It doesn't. As when now, it's actually a Microsoft PowerPoint template, because I use it for a lot of my client stuff because it's a piece of piss to do. And basically just with the new brand, it's black and white. It's very simple. But the idea is if someone's just scrolling through, like the guy who I interviewed on Thursday from Lehman Brothers. Yeah. It's just, you know, how has the finance market changed last year? Question mark. But it's just, I'm actually putting time and effort into my thumbnails and stuff.
A good shout.
But the truth of it is that realistically, I get, you know, I might earn 30, 40 quid this month on YouTube ads.
Yeah.
Which is not bad considering I'm not doing anything really. But relative to what I could earn that same money doing business education consultancy stuff, the point is it's a hell of a lot of effort to get marginal return. But the reason why I do it, it's for 5-10 years time, because that's the big thing. It's when, you know, because people do Google you and check you out. So it's the ability to kind of, you know, go back and see, is this guy legit? What's he done for a long time? And actually just share knowledge and share stuff.
It's good to have that timeline, isn't it, for people to look back on? Like, for example, if there was somebody who was considering stocking our spices on their shelf, like a retailer, for example, and they were like, who's this Peter Mckeone? Let's have a look. Diablo Seasonings, what are they about? And they'll see a couple of your videos, actually, so thanks for that. But just like loads of different content about what we've been up to.
But you're a real person. And actually, you've got a very nice message from, do you know Aaron Clary?
Yeah.
It's awesome what Peter has done. We worked together for a short time in 2012 working in sales. Now he's set up himself, has done amazing, a pretty unique business, which is amazing. Well done, mate. Keep up the hard work. And I think that's the big thing is I always find this quite funny, is that nobody ever sends me nice messages. But the funny thing
I'll send you one day.
But the way I try and describe it, and it's almost when I'm trying to describe to other people, because you always get to a point where, so Usain Bolt, when he was going through the ranks, probably when he was 16, if he won a race, everyone was like, oh, mate, well done.
Yeah.
As we're actually, it got to a point where, let's face it, if he didn't win, everyone was like, oh my God, what the fuck happened? And it's almost, when you level up your stuff, it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, mate, we've seen it, what's new? So I almost view it that I could stand up on a Friday and do a whole half an hour live stream, really good quality.
Yeah.
Not get a single comment. And my hope is, and the one thing that I just tell myself is that almost people now expect it to be a certain level. I've leveled up, but sometimes it would be nice to get a little pat on the back. But I think it's great that when, and part of the reason I like to do this is because it's sharing the stories of real people who actually are, you know, doing their actual stuff. So that when Aaron does a live stream or tries to do TikTok for the first time, if his camera freezes or it goes out of focus, it doesn't matter. Just carry on. And the point is, it happens to everyone. And I do this probably more than most, and it still happens to me. So it is what it is. But I think that's the beauty of this, and just it's the honest warts and all kind of how things happened. Because again, Aaron, or a lot of people do have ambitions to kind of start their own business. And actually, just for me, that's why I like to do it, because it makes people accessible in a way that, again, you go onto Instagram, it's all Lamborghinis, Rolexes, Ferraris, whatever. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's not like that. And that's the kind of thing. Cool. Has your passion for the business changed? A lot of people...
I think it's got more intense.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Do you want to expand?
Just because, like, in the first 2 years, I've experienced the freedom that it's brought me. Like, if I was what we're in now, we're in November. If I was working for another company, I'll give my old employers TTA a shout because I love them a bit, they're all spot on. If I was still working there, I'd have already breached the, 25 days a year holiday you get or something like that. So that's not enough for me. I have this wanderlust, I have this urge to travel and do different things, and like being able to pick and choose when I want to go somewhere and travel somewhere is a massive plus. So that just it encourages me to work harder in the next couple of years to buy myself more freedom, because it's like not so much like, yeah, you need the money to be good, you need the financial side to be right, to be in business, but it's the freedom which I enjoy more than anything. You know what I mean?
No idea. I'm just asking myself the same question. Has my passion changed? I think what's funny is that when we did this last year, I was doing 100% consultancy. I didn't have a physical product, didn't have the roadmap, didn't have anything. Like I was making it, but I didn't have it physically kind of live. And I think the big thing for me is that if I was only doing stuff for other people, even though I love feeling part of their teams, it basically feels like having 4 part-time jobs that all run 6 or 7 days a week. And it's not the most fun, I'll be honest. It's just like, it's fine. But as we're actually just, for me, it's having something that you feel that you can build over time. Even if it takes me 10 years, 20 years, but I'm making a little bit of progress. That's actually, so it's like literally this morning, someone approached me and said, would you like to enter this competition awards for the one I'm doing? First one I've ever done. And I was like, yeah, why not? But it's just, so even if that's the only thing I accomplished today, but it's that I'm doing. And actually what was quite funny, when I did the rebrand to go from what I had done to what I've just launched, the mission of making business education accessible. And it's for working class people in Borough, in Ghana, in wherever.
Oh, the Ghana thing, I saw that.
But the point is, it's for people around the world that don't have access to, they can't spend 20 grand or 80 grand to go to London School of Economics to do a business degree. But the truth is, the basics of it, you can get it for free. Get a reply to the guest list, I'll send you. But it's that kind of the ability to want to make an impact, but do it for the right reasons. Is what keeps me going. And
Are you going to go to Ghana then?
I think maybe at some point I'd love to, but that's almost where it's one of my later questions about what is the dream for the business. But I would love at some point to have less client work to do, focus more on my own stuff. But actually, I'd love to go to conferences in Ghana, America, China, and do more of that. Because the funny thing is, although that would be quite expensive to do, on a marketing point of view, and I've said this to a few people recently, more people will care about what I'm doing locally when I'm popular outside the region. Does that make sense? So it's only when you get to speak at conferences in London or Sydney or Dubai, will anyone in Newcastle or Middlesbrough or Stockton start to give a shit? And that's just it's interesting just how things kind of change. But arguably, since kind of articulating the mission, that's what keeps me. It gives me the drive that I didn't really have last year. But the thing that I am conscious of as well is just because I'm working quite a lot. Like I worked all weekend trying to get the hardcover version of my book sorted. I'm knackered. So I know I can't do this for...
Can't burn yourself out, man. Like, you've got to weigh it up, you know what I mean? I think Accra in Ghana looks like an awesome city. So if you need somebody to go, you know me, man. I'll go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Give me a shout if you're going to Ghana. I'll go out there. I'll go to the markets.
Class. But because that's one of the really interesting things, and I'm going to jump on to the next, it's almost like seamless segue. I was going to say, how has your business changed this year?
It's just really that commercial side's taken over. The building blocks are still kind of the same, like the engine's still the same. It's like we've got a few more stockists from abroad, a few more suppliers from abroad. We've built more connections, so it's improved in that sense. But the vehicle is still the same. Like we import spices, we blend them, we pack them, we have retailers, people like Smith's Butchers at Acton Shop still, and Powell's at Stokesley, and it's kind of the same as it was, but it's just better. You know what I mean? It's gone from like having a 1 litre Corsa to a 1.6 Focus, but we'll get bigger and bigger.
So I'm just laughing at J-Man's comment saying, I wish Peter's camera would lose focus. Top left.
Sorry, I've got a proper evil laugh, mate.
No, it's class. I think one of the big things for me, actually, which was really interesting, is that it's getting consumer feedback was really big for me. That
Yeah,
actually
definitely.
when you've got an idea or a concept or something you want to do, you have to put it out there for the first time, but actually getting feedback from other people say, have you thought about this? This doesn't make sense. And that was almost for you, I guess, if you ever got feedback from, like, what's the best piece of customer feedback you got this year?
The best piece of customer feedback this year. That's a great question, that.
Because I got loads of stuff with, when you write a 216-page business textbook, that
Yeah,
was wrong, that's wrong, that doesn't make sense. But it's great to learn from. But what I love
yeah,
was getting viewpoints from different people. But I think the other thing that really kind of got me was that people learn in different ways. So for instance, I've got, I can't be asked to grab it. Basically, I've got a physical textbook that I send to people. I have a website which I put a huge amount of time and effort into, hundreds of videos. Nobody
yeah,
watches it, nobody goes on it. YouTube, it does okay. And then, but it was one of the big things that people wanted to join live Zoom classroom sessions to physically talk stuff through. I didn't even think of that a year ago. And it was
yeah,
almost, so with that one thing actually arguably becomes like the real USP of the course, because actually, I don't want to comment, but Teesside Uni or Garyvee's course or whoever, often, there's loads of pre-recorded stuff on Udemy, but it's the
yeah.
ability actually on a Zoom call to ask actual questions for your actual business. It's something that is arguably our USP now, but I didn't think of that. Someone else did. And it's that ability to learn from other people. I
Yeah,
think it's been really,
definitely.
really useful.
You've got to seek inspiration from it, especially people who are like similar to what you're doing. Um, I think like there's been a couple of people who've said, "Oh, I didn't know how to use the certain spice, so I haven't used it yet, even though it's a few months." So what I've been doing is like when somebody buys online, I've got their email address obviously because they've gave me it through the website. So I'll just send them a little list of recipes for each of the spices that they've bought, just so they've got like 4 recipes for each one. And every single person who I meet at the market, since somebody said that to me, I'll say, "Oh, drop me a message. Don't forget through your favorite social media, if it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Drop me a message and remind me what you got, and I'll send you some recipes." And that gets the dialogue going anyway, and it gives me a chance to get to know people. And then next time I see them, we've already had a good chat through Facebook, and it's familiarity, and it's just building links with customers.
My wife has just said, PT is such a natural on camera. Some videos of you doing your recipes using your spice mixes would be fab. And again, that's
Yeah,
an interest. I had this idea the other day because again, when you've got your own business,
thank you.
your brain is kind of churning all the time.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people struggle for food ideas, and I actually think this could be an incredibly successful like YouTube series, just
yeah,
of you cooking tea
yeah.
every
It's a good
night
shout.
on the top of the fridge,
Yeah,
GoPro. And
yeah,
just people say, okay, and you obviously describe what you're doing, but just like your
yeah,
actual kitchen and what you're actually doing, and
yeah.
just
It's a good
literally,
shout. It's on the cards. It's like at the moment I'm at Middlesbrough College 2 days a week, and I'm learning how to use Adobe Premiere because at the moment I'm still just like a bit of a novice with it. So I'm because my sister edited my Morocco video because she's done filmmaking at uni, but she's moved to Edinburgh now, so it gives me an excuse to go to Edinburgh, which is great. But now I'm on my own, so I need to learn how to edit video properly and professionally. So it is on the cards, definitely. It's been on my mind for a while. So instead of using TikTok to string video clips together, we want to step it up and use Adobe and do it professionally. So in terms of camera equipment, I've got some decent stuff now. So it's just the skills that I need to improve upon now. So just trying to improve as an operator all the time.
because I think that, I completely agree with what you're saying, but almost as someone with all the technical stuff, and it will still go wrong, because you have got the banter and the patter, that's the hardest bit. You could literally do it on your phone and people would
Yes.
still watch it.
Yeah.
But some people don't. Is that some people are dull as shit. But it's almost when you've got the hard bit, and I think it's that authenticity which I think is really cool. Question 6: what has been your highlight of the past year?
I think going to Budapest, I think, wandering around the city on my own, going to the markets, just speaking to people on the markets. So what they had was like, I got to the market and they had all the fresh paprika chilies laid out. They had the dried version of them. They had the coarsely ground, and then the fine powder version. And it was just dead interesting to see like how they run their business, so I can like take pictures of how they've got it set up and just basically learn from them. Getting out to that city was definitely my highlight.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my damn camera. It's fucking useless. Sarah Craggs has sent you a very nice message saying one of the hardest workers I know, the passion Peter has for his business and his knowledge of the food is absolutely outstanding, which is nice.
Thank you. Cheers for that.
No, it's cool. I've just found how to do it. I just look left and then look back again. And it seems to come back. It just, I think it's my camera's way of just trying to pie me off. Just I'm too ugly to be on camera. My highlight of the year. It's actually nobody's seen it yet, but I've just finished the hardcover version of my book. So it's the new roadmap. I'll be sending out the softcover ones hopefully starting tomorrow. And I'll send you one. But the thing that I love, it's how like all the photos in it are from people I know. So one guy that I went to uni with, I've used, he's really good photographer now, but I think it's about 8 of his images. But it's the depth of the story, every page, like, and the fact that you're in it and all the improvements. It's just, it's the best thing I've ever done. And it's just, I'm proud of it. And my highlight of the year, and it was even only yesterday, I was in Starbucks in the Metro Centre with my laptop and I was just trying to get it finished and get it now sent off to kind of be printed. But I'm just proud of it. And even nobody's even seen it yet. And almost, I don't even care. But it's that kind of, that's my highlight for the year. It's just, you put so much time and effort into creating something. And it's just so, okay, yes, I have got a physical product, but it's nice when there's something you've created. You had the idea, I want to create a business. I want to create a spice business. This is the brand. I'm going to do this kind of packaging. And it's so it's quite fulfilling. Do you find it fulfilling to actually kind of...
I really do. Like, stuff? It's mad to think that it starts as a seed in your mind a few years ago, and then you kind of and ahhing, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? You're nervous about people's reaction and stuff, aren't you? And then just over time, you just grind, don't you? Like, since we launched, I've probably done 150 different markets. I'm just wondering how many rejections that is. It's a fair few thousand. So of course, it's meant to see it. Like, the thing is, though, it wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for people supporting it. Like Teesside, obviously I love Borough and I love Teesside, and you can probably tell by my accent I'm from around here. And people get behind it. Like every person who I know who walks past me at the market, oh no mate, I need this. And like, even though they know it might be a couple of quid more expensive, it's better quality in it. But like, people back it. Like in the Northeast in particular, people want to see you do well. Whereas like when I first started, I was thinking, oh man, I'm a bit nervous about starting and stuff. But people's support's been unreal, to be fair.
Yeah, cool. I agree. And what I love as well is that with literally before this call, I watched last year's one, and just seeing the progression and stuff is quite cool. And
it's mad, isn't it?
You are completely correct that often so much of what you've done at some point was just an idea. Mm-hmm. And then the hardest thing about doing anything is to execute an idea and make it real. And just like, even for me in the past year, there was a certain point, I still remember the conversation where I said to my wife, I'd like to get my own office. And I had that dream about what I could do with cameras and lighting and sound curtains and whatever. And then to actually do it, even though it cost me a fucking fortune, I'm still quite proud of it. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. What are your plans for 2020? So obviously we hopefully, when we're both still alive, we'll do this next year. What would you love to achieve by this time next year?
I would like to have maybe a couple more spices that we don't currently stock, a few rarer ones. I'd like to go and create a few vlogs because I made my Morocco video and then we had the small matter of the pandemic and I haven't been able to get abroad and make a proper film out there because that's a big part of what I want to do. And it would just be nice to go out and make episode 2 and episode 3 somewhere a bit mental. Like, I really fancy going to Medellin in Colombia. I've got a friend who lives in Cartagena who's got a coffee company out there, and it would just be great to go out there and document that. I also feel really drawn to Jordan as well. It's a place I've been before. I love it. I want to show, I've been there, I've experienced it, but I want everybody who I know to be able to experience it through the lens of my camera, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's a few countries that I feel really drawn to, like India, for example. I'd really like to go there, document the full trip. So it would just be nice to have a couple of decent vlogs on YouTube, but of high quality, because as much as I enjoyed making the Morocco video, I swear way too much in it. Like the other F word's all right, but it's like 50, so it's ridiculous. So I just need to be a bit more professional in my approach. So I would just like to have a few more vlogs, a few more clients always helps, and just keep improving as a company, really.
No, I must say, for me, the Actually, obviously, there's some people that know, but only the hardcore people actually watch any of these. But the dream for me is to have, with the hardcover book, it's to get into retail. So it's to have something, a physical product. So it's the same business course, but it would be on sale in a Phoenix, in Selfridges, Harrods, business.
You can do it, man.
Bookstores. But the thought to walk into a Waterstones or somewhere and see my thing on sale on the shelf.
That'll be mint. That
you already have that with what you do, but I'm not there yet. But that is for me such some word. At some point in 2022, in a store somewhere, I'll sell my stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my goal. That's what I want. Well, in theory, as long as I make the margins attractive enough and it's a desirable enough product, hopefully someone will take it. But that's my big goal, because then if I can make that work, when everything we're talking about, be vlogs or this or whatever, it's about building credibility and trust. And actually, if someone sees your stuff in Phoenix and they can buy it next to the Mont Blanc pens and the other fancy stuff, they must think, okay, it adds credibility to it. And that's one of my big dreams for next year. That again, and I don't know about you, but it has nothing to it making money. It's actually just doing because I'm passionate about it, and it's trying to just live out a dream in some ways.
Neither does the vlogs. Like, for me to go to Colombia, it's an expense, actually. It'll sting my wallet. My missus will be on my case saying you're out for doing that. But like, it's not, don't get me wrong. Yeah, like, people can see me out there, trying to forge links with different companies and stuff. But it's for me to experience it. Like, the world's a fascinating place, isn't it? I don't think I was meant to just live in one place and stay there. I've got to go. But I'd like other people who I know to be able to experience it with me through the lens of my camera,
Because that was one of the things that you said in previous kind of interviews, was that you didn't start traveling until quite late in life.
Yeah, it's I know, it's mad that. Like, I'd only really been to one or two other countries up to like 2010. So it's only really been the last decade or so that I started actually getting out in the world. I've only been to 20 countries, so like, it's still only, it's a fair amount, yeah, but it's not like I would be happier if it was 100. It's 10% of the world still, so it's not bad. But hopefully there's still a fair bit of time left to crack on. 100 countries would be great, half the world, that'd be brilliant.
So just as we kind of wrap up, because I'm conscious of time and I'll check comments and stuff. And if you want to hurl any more abuse at Peter, please send it in now and I'll do it after this kind of next question.
Keep it clean.
They don't have to keep it clean, it's fine. So for you, what is the dream? If I was to say to you now, in 5 years, 10 years, whatever time frame you want to pick, what's the dream?
It would be nice to nail one of the big supermarkets, I think, to have it on a shelf in somewhere like a Morrison's or a Sainsbury's or something like that. That'd be great. But it would also it'd be nice to be able to do like three big trips a year. I could maybe go out to South Africa or go out to, like I say, Colombia. I keep mentioning that place, but it would be nice to have 3 or 4 big trips a year where I was going out, forging links with businesses, and just improving my knowledge all the time on different spices and stuff. Yeah, like I say, that's a dream for me, just to be able to travel and to just keep building the company, really. I haven't really put a number on it, like in 5 years or 10 years or anything like that. It's just I want to grow organically as best I can. And that's it, really. I haven't overcomplicated it too much. It's just basically keep improving.
No, it's also, for me, I think I'd like to be able to, I would still do consultancy stuff for other people, but on my terms, not someone else's.
Yeah.
Because it kind of keeps me fresh, but actually at the moment I'm working too hard and I'm knackered. But it's almost where if the roadmap could wash its own face, almost I could live off it. Same as you, I would love to travel. So actually, I haven't been anywhere since we were meant to go to Norway, literally as COVID was kicking off, and we didn't go. I'm glad we didn't go because it would have been cost a fortune. But so I haven't actually been out of the country for 2 years now. I really want to get back to that. And I think for me, it's it's funny. The more you look at what you do, and the more you get to understand yourself, I just want to add value and like help people. I hate it when people say that and they don't mean it, but actually it's people, spice traders in Ghana, wherever. So you know what, Steve, that was quite useful. I found that useful.
Should we go to Ghana?
You're obsessed with Ghana. My wife would kill me. We haven't been on holiday for 2 years. I think I need to go away with her first. But
don't take my advice for travel. It's a bad move.
You'll spell my name wrong. But what's also interesting is that your answer it wasn't earn £1 million a year. And I don't know about you, but for me, like, yes, I need to earn enough to provide some sort of pension and live off.
Yeah.
But actually, I just want to enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I still stand by the fact that it's almost, I think it's a Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts thing, but I'm just doing my best. You know what I mean? It's where we planned to kind of do this. We had a few little technical niggles at the start, and then you would freeze and my camera would but it's just like, we're both hopefully just doing our best, cracking on, trying to keep learning, sharing the story. I think it's quite important.
Because it's good to document the journey, because somebody else might be on the verge of starting their business, think, oh, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? And they might see something positive in this video, and that might be what kicks them up the backside to do it. So it's like, just let's keep documenting the journey, man. It's interesting for us to watch back as well, isn't it, in a few years as well.
But it really is when you realise it was peak lockdown and my hair was atrocious because the hairdressers were shut at the time. So I'm just going to go back to comments, see if you've got any more abuse. Someone so wonderful from Nupor Azora. The Moroccan video was top notch. Pete, very amusing also. And swearing was some unprofessional maybe, but it's you at the end of the day, mate. So it's but I think that's the big thing from a marketing point of view.
Yeah.
Yes, the BBC might not want swearing on, but depends who your target audience is.
Yeah.
And if it's authentic and it's not put on for show, I don't see why you wouldn't. But when you then upload to YouTube, it's not suitable for kids. You have to click that button. Mine is just defaulted to that as it is.
Yeah.
But and one thing, I just want to mention this more to document it than anything else. I've actually, although it won't actually start till next year, I've started to pay to advertise in places.
Okay.
So there's something called Freelancer Magazine, which, because I'm plugged in, I can't go and get it. But actually, just starting to pay to advertise in magazines and stuff, I've never done before. And it could be an absolute disaster, or it could work quite well. I don't know. But that's almost where, for me, you know, a lot of the costs I've had this year are setting up structural stuff, like paying for all of this, getting a new website done. But I don't have to pay for that all next year. So that's when I can start to put more money into travel and advertising. And I think that's the whole new phase of business that I've never done before. But hopefully it might be quite interesting to people to share, or even for me to look back on, because I don't know how it's going to go. But likewise, if it works, I'm going to tell people. And then if it doesn't work, I'm also going to tell people, because it is what it is. But just in terms of a phase of a business, I probably wouldn't have guessed a year ago that I'd be paying to advertise and touch someone I'm going to try. And just, it's the baby steps that, you know, is important to document. So then
I think we've been pushed into paying for advertising as well, Steve, because the algorithms have changed so much on Instagram and Facebook, because there's a lot less kind of the spaces. How can I explain? Like, if you scroll through Facebook now, you'll see Nike and Pepsi and that, like they're paying for ads. So obviously, as a small business, you can't compete with that. So, you know, you've got to make your content more comments, more likes, and like that's kind of. So you've got to know what your audience enjoys reading. You've got to provide value, haven't you? But at the same time, like to muscle in on that space, you've got to pay for ads. I've tried a few Facebook ads. Some have been all right, some have been terrible. I'm still totally winging it, man, and just trying to learn, you know.
Because with, I think you saw it actually, I did a Q&A with one of my clients, Harvey and Hugo, about pay-per-click ads on YouTube, on Facebook. Yeah. And I've done it for some clients of mine where we tried 3 or 4 different things, 20 quid on each of them, see what but I haven't done it for my own stuff yet. And that's the acid test. When it's your own actual money, does it work? Does it not work? And I don't know the answer to it yet, but you know, as it goes, I will try. So it's been a pleasure to catch up as always.
Always is, man.
I'm obviously stay in touch, obviously. And then what will be really interesting is in this time next year, see what happens and see how things change. And then likewise, what worked, what didn't work, what happened, what didn't happen. Hopefully no more pandemics. But it's a really good point actually, just to anyone that might kind of watch this. For the past 2-ish years, it's been a fucking shit show. It's been so difficult. But touch on wood, we're still here, we're still alive, physically alive, businesses hopefully still trading. But it's just do your best, keep going, and kind of see what happens. Cool.
Great stuff. Yeah, well, cool.
Apart from the many technical problems that we had, but it is what it is. It's still been a pleasure to kind of catch up.
Always is, man.
Hopefully it worked when we streamed to your channels. It'd be interesting to see. I might have schoolboy errored, missed something off, but I don't think I did. I've really enjoyed watching the abuse come in for you. I think it's been really kind of good. And
I don't think it's been harsh enough, to be honest.
I must admit, been no more abuse come in. J-Man again talking about their Tandoori Palmo, I think is quite cool. But you get really good engagement in a way that I don't on my stuff. So it's something that I need to build on over time. But that's part of the beauty of just learning off different people and different approaches. And it's just, nobody's the finished kind of article. Anyway, I know you're busy. I will let you go, but it's been great to catch up. And
just let me know if in the next couple of years, if you do decide to go to Ghana, I have no other reason to go there. So that sounds like a reason to go to Ghana for me. So if you need somebody to come with you, mate, give me a shout. I'll go there, definitely.
It feels like you're trying to smuggle drugs or something. You need to get to them.
It's truer than you think. When I come home from the airport, I have to say to them, look, excuse me, I've got 8 kilos of paprika in my bag. I promise you it's paprika. Here's the business card of the company I got it from. I've got nothing to hide. I just don't want to get a cavity search in the airport, mate. So I think it's best off to just point out what I've got. You know what I mean?
Cool. Fair enough. Well, I'm going to let you go. It's been a pleasure as always, and I'll speak to you soon.
Take care, right?
All right, cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.